All right, everybody, let's get this party started. What is your worldview? How to establish and control your capital with your worldview. We live in a world where, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you want to slice it and dice it, it's controlled by what we call money. But money is not the correct term. Money should be called capital. So tonight we want to break down and give you the tools that are needed in order for you to control your own capital. One of the hardest things that I had to understand, especially coming from a space where capital, money was bad. It was evil because that's what I was taught from a traditional Christian perspective. Now that I understand the game and I understand the secret to establishing a specific frequency wave of vibration that is based upon establishing assets and value and tangible productions. When you become or turn yourself into a asset that is also valuable or is perceived to have value, and then you're able to make yourself relevant or tangible according to the dominant culture. And your relevancy allows you to be. Without relevancy, then you don't have what we call production or deposits and funds. So when we look at, the way that the universe is set up, this production leads to deposits. These deposits leads to what we call funding or funds or fun. So you can have fun. Now, tonight's message is, I'm going to go to the real. I've heard all kind of stuff about money is the root of all evil. Money is not everything. Why do you talk about money? And all this other stuff, but that blood that's running through your veins, that's money. Money is the movement of what you and I call, machinery or mentality. So without understanding how this system works, then what happens is we find ourselves being dominated because we can't come to the table. Nobody takes nobody seriously there. You come to my house and I'm having a potluck and you come and you don't bring nothing, then I'm going to talk about you. I ain't going to say that to your face, but I'm going to say, man, did you see your boy? And don't be the first in line. And please don't take a plate with you when you leave. You would never be invited back to my house. Now, let me make sure you understand, because we live in a world where people, this is what you are saying unconsciously when you come to the table of life and you don't bring nothing to the table. You have not established a worldview. You're not promoting or pushing your worldview, and you haven't monetized your worldview, but you live in a world and you don't got a view. Now, unfortunately, us Alakibulans, us black folk, we've been fucked from the perspective of we've been mind-effed by mining. Somebody is mining, M-I-N-I-N-G, our mind, M-I-N-D, so that way we are not mine, M-I-N-E. This is what Kanye is saying. This is what Kyrie said. Hey, I'm trying to find out. I want to find out my worldview. And he can crucify because all he's saying is, hey, can I just establish my worldview? Now, maybe he should have shared it with the world until he established it. Okay, I can see that. But I still can't see it because shit, he's allowed to. They post on social media platforms. How come he can't post his search? He's in the process of establishing his worldview. He has not established it yet. He's in that process. And everybody on this call should be in the same process that Kanye West is in. In fact, really, you should be already done. You should already have established your worldview. So tonight, I'm going to make sure that you have your worldview because it was already given to you by God. Now, whether you want to use your God-given worldview or you want to change it up, mix it up a little bit, okay, you can do that too. You got something called limited free will. But the first thing is you got to understand you got to establish your worldview. And your worldview is your view of the world. Now, we need to define our terms today because we live in a world where nobody respects you if you don't stand for something. I don't know if y'all figured that out yet, but it's interesting because people will ask you when you do. Notice, like, who are you is what they're saying. What do you believe? And then people kind of categorize you based upon your worldview. Now, I know what you're going to say, same thing that I already know. That is, why do we need a worldview when we are celestial? That was the whole point of the last series. The point of the last series is we are celestial beings. We are not worldly beings. We are in this world, but we're not of this world. But while you're in this world, you need to understand the world. You need to have a view. You need to have an opinion of the world. Right, wrong, or indifference, you should have an opinion. And you should voice that opinion with, I'm willing to put my hands on your throat. Without that, then you don't have capital. You can't move men, means, and resources. So, ladies, men will follow you. Meaning, men will ask you to amplify them. Because, ladies, you're amplifiers. Men are particles. Ladies, you are accelerators. Men, we are pointers. We're going to point to that goal. And ladies, you're going to amplify us so we can reach the goal. So men, we can see the goal, but we can't get there. Ladies, you can go, but you can't get to nowhere. So women, y'all can just go, but you go all over the place. There's no specific point. Because your emotions need a head from the perspective of a guide, from the perspective of a vision, from a perspective of tunnel, from the perspective of not having the creative amplification. Most women think being the gas is a negative. The engine can't fucking run without no gas. So the most important thing is not the engine. The most important thing is the gas. Ain't gonna do you no good to have an engine and you ain't got no gas. But at the same time, ain't gonna do you any good to have any gas if you ain't got no engine. So that's what we talk about. That's capital. Capital is having a gas and a fucking engine. And they work together. As I talked about. And then, what's his name? One of my buddies was sharing that video I was telling you guys about. That's based upon a study that's on TikTok that talks about the same thing. And a lot of these studies are coming out now. And that's why I'm able to talk about a lot of the old stuff more. Just like I talked about a few days ago. When we was talking about what? Well, we was talking about this whole Hebrew Israelite thing. So number one, worldview. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, we have a biblical view. We have a religious view. Very few people have a worldview. How many people do you know that have established a worldview? And so how come they can't establish a worldview? Well, most people can't establish a worldview because they already have a biblical view. They got a religious view. They got some other type of view. So they don't have an idea of how the world works. Now, it's interesting because your worldview is based upon your life experiences and your education. That is what you and I call capital. Because capital is just I'm going to use the word intellectual property that produces financial assets. That's all it is. Could you imagine if you never had a problem producing financial assets? Because nobody takes you seriously unless you can come to the table with some financial assets. People will talk to you, they'll like you, they'll hang out with you, but they're not going to say that to you, but they're not going to respect you. And so you got to be able to push, again, your worldview. When I mean by push, I mean present. You should be able to present. You should be able to state with crystal clear clarity your worldview. Now, if you cannot push, aka present, aka state your worldview, then there's no way I'm going to respect you. So I'm not going to respect you if you don't respect yourself. And if you don't respect yourself, that means you don't know yourself. That's what the worldview means. Worldview is just how you see the world based upon how God designed yourself. Because once you're able to establish a worldview, then you can present that worldview to the market. Well, then the market is going to give you something in exchange for your worldview. They're going to give you something that we call money. So that's capital. So now people respect people who have capital, and people disrespect people who don't. It's interesting because people can like borrow money and then they ask and they wonder why people shit on them because they got to borrow money. So that's why you're in a low economic status. If you're in a low economic bracket. Now, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that that's the way it is. That's the way the universe, I'm going to use the word, is set up. So the universe is set up in a way by which people respect people who have a worldview. Now, a worldview is interesting because, again, the worldview is what they call capital. A capital is just something that confers or gives value and gives benefit. So when you come to the table, if you can add value and benefits, bam, I like you. If you come to the table and you do not add value, you do not add benefits, I don't like you. Why? Because you're costing me money, man. I got to take care of you. I got to carry you. So I'm not really interested in carrying anybody. I like people who are able to carry themselves. Now, will I assist? Well, that's what I'm doing right now. I have no problem with assisting you. But how long is it going to take you to be you, to establish a worldview? I have no problem with assisting you. But when assisting you becomes carrying you, okay, we got a conundrum. Capital, my brothers, capital, my sisters, is value and benefits. I'm trying to help you today. Woo, man, this will change your life right here. What if you could, everywhere you go, you added value and benefit to other people? Damn, you would be a hot tamale. Everybody would want to talk to you, hang out with you, because you add value and you provide benefit. When you can add value and benefit to the market, you can't be replaced. So what about in relationships? You think anybody's going to leave anybody? Ladies, that man ain't going nowhere. If you add value and benefits, trust and believe. Don't give a fuck how crazy you are. Everybody wants value and benefits. And everybody wants to be able to feel like they add. Because that's what everybody wants, to be loved, valued, and respected. That's code for benefit. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Now, Tom, Dick, and Harry may say it differently, but at the end of the day, that's what Tom, Dick, and Harry all want. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry wants the same thing. But it's sad because it's difficult for us to, not say us, I'm specifically talking about Al-Kibilans, because Al-Kibilans, for whatever reason, is very, very extremely difficult for us to be able to wrap our brain around the worldview, and then everywhere I go, I talk about my worldview. Why is that? We feel uncomfortable. Why is that? We don't have value. Why is that? We got a faulty belief system. Why is that? We literally, honestly think, if you are broke right now, you shouldn't be doing nothing. Now, broke simply means that your order hasn't come to your table. You've already placed the order. You're just waiting for the order to be manifested on your table. Everybody in this call, you place your order. Your order is let's use the word worldview. That's your order. That's how you see the world. Now, your worldview and my worldview, totally different. Everybody has a worldview. That's the beauty. The beautiful thing about establishing your own worldview is it establishes something called a compass. So you have a compass. It's your own individual, unique point of view. So your worldview is the point that allows you to view. It's interesting because once you establish your worldview, it brings about something called cognitive orientation. Now, cognitive, most people don't have cognitive orientation. They got cognitive dissonance. So the problem with the world today is I talk to people, they have cognitive dissonance. They don't have cognitive orientation. They don't have this capacity, this ability, I'm just with over, under, and understanding. It's a map that improves orientation. So cognitive orientation, it's a cognitive map that establishes critical thinking. It establishes these, I'm using the word goals for lack of a better term. These goals allow you to establish specific roles. That's cognitive orientation. Cognitive orientation is huge because it gives you dynamic cognitive strategies. It just simply means that things come to you very simply and easily because you've established a point. So remember, when you have a worldview, you have a point of view. Everybody on this call needs a point of view. That's the cognitive orientation that allows you to, hey, that point right there, that's me. I can point to a specific location on the map and say, that's me. I have a point of view. I'm not trying to make a point. I have a specific point. So my point of view and your point of view is different. So you should come to the table with your point of view. Now the point of view, it can be first person, it can be second person, it can be third person. There's different points of view. But you want to really operate from the first point of view, which is me. This is how I see the world. Everybody has a point of view. Your job and my job is to be able to be totally comfortable. We should be able to explain. And we should not have no shame. No matter what your point of view is, you should be able to express that point of view. And you should be comfortable, with that point of view. That's the only way for you to push it. Now, the problem is we compare our point of view with somebody else's point of view. And then we get into trouble. Because we start to get uncomfortable because we believe in Jesus Christ and Him crucified. Because your point of view is going to be challenged. You should be okay. You should be able to, the Bible says you should be able to give an account to everybody who questions your belief, your point of view. So you should be comfortable. You should be able to explain. And you should never, ever be ashamed about your point of view. Most people are ashamed of their point of view. That's kind of like the whole sexual stuff that's going on today with the kids. So if you're gay, you should be able to explain, be comfortable, and not ashamed of the fact that you're gay. Because that's your worldview. So your worldview establishes the specific point by which you choose to exist on this planet. Everybody should have that. Because without that, you can't push that. You can't present that to the market. This is extremely important because when you wake up tomorrow and you post it on Facebook or Instagram or wherever you're at, you should be thinking about these three things that establishes your point of view. You should be comfortable. You should be able to explain why do you believe what you believe. A lot of people have belief systems, but you should be able to explain, at least to yourself. It should be able to make sense to yourself. You should be able to explain to everybody, but if you can't, you definitely should be able to explain to yourself. But most people can't. Most people can't explain their point of view to themselves to make sense. Now, nothing wrong with it, but what are we talking about? Capital. This is why most people don't have capital. Because capital follows people who are able to be comfortable. Capital doesn't like stress. It's very interesting. Capital is drawn to people who have confidence, which is another word for comfortable. So your ability to be able to add value and benefits everywhere you go based upon your worldview. Now, once again, your worldview, what we really call worldview is what? At the base core, it's a belief system. That's all it is. So the question is, what do you believe? Now, it's a basic assumption. Because again, we are operating from the assumptive clause. So your worldview, I know what it is, you know what it is, and I know what it is. How do I know? Because look at your life. Because you assume you got to work hard, so you work hard. You assume that certain things have to happen for you to be, for you to have a boo-boo. And because you assume that, bam, that's your worldview. So you're not comfortable with that worldview. You got it, but you're not comfortable. If you got a worldview that says fuck money, or I don't need a man, or I don't need a woman, or that I'm gay, then you should be able to be comfortable in it. You should be able to explain it, and you should be not ashamed of it. So if you wear skinny jeans and you got your hair up and run, and you got feminine and you're feminine, so when you're around very, very macho, alpha male, masculine dudes like me, you should be comfortable. Now, there are people like, for example, let's say, not picking on anybody, but like Magic Johnson's son, who's flamboyantly gay. So why is he so flamboyant with it? Because he's really uncomfortable. He's overcompensating to make himself feel comfortable and to force it down your throat. So I'm not going to change my worldview, which is my point of view. So that point of view, that establishes cognitive orientation, and it removes cognitive dissonance. So everybody has a choice tonight. You can continue to operate in cognitive dissonance, or you can choose to operate in what they call cognitive orientation. Now, from a health practitioner perspective, cognitive orientation is why most people don't experience social and psychological acceptance. So cognitive orientation is a thought process that is unconscious, but it is expressed consciously. That simply means that your cognitive orientation, like cognitive dissonance, it organizes subatomic particles. It literally creates an environment that allows you to behave. This is called behavioral orientation. It is called rule-role orientation in cognitive therapy and psychology. So as a therapist, I know that you operate by rules that control your role. Now you don't know this, most people don't know they have a role that they play. For example, if you are a mother, that's a role. That's not who you are. That's the role that you play while you have, when the children grow up eventually they're going to leave. And what's going to happen? What if that's the only role that you play? Well, you are what we call F in the hood. So, for example, in my first marriage, my ex-wife always talked about her role. Then when the kids grow, and she used to always tell Shamora that Shamora was holding her back from pursuing her dreams. Well, Shamora's dead now. She's no longer here. So now what's holding you back? So what we do is, I can tell what your worldview is by how you live your life. Now you're going to look at me and say, Doc, that is not my worldview. You can say, Doc, that is not my point of view. You can say, Doc, that is not my cognitive orientation. And I'm going to say, you're lying to yourself because you're not comfortable. You can't fucking explain why you do what you do. And you're ashamed of the quiet because it's quiet. It's toxic. How do I know? Because look how long you've been in that role. That role is based upon a rule. So the rules, so as a therapist, my job is to find the rules that is keeping you in that role and tell you that rule is fucked. So your cognitive orientation is how the thoughts are processed in the brain. So your thoughts are organized and interpreted by the brain, and it creates an environment. Now this is behavioral therapy. This is called behavioral orientation. This is the role orientation. In cognitive psychology, the rule establishes the role. So when I'm a therapist and I'm talking to somebody who clearly needs clinical advice, I want to expose the rules in their life. They're unconscious. And that role that you play, that gives you what? What did we say at the beginning? Value and benefit. So people get value from their role because it's a rule that was given to them usually by T.D. Jakes from dollar of religion. That's why people are poor. Or that's why women are, submit to the wrong man. Because that's a rule. That's why thou shalt not steal. What is that? It's a rule. It's a commandment. So you got a rule. You go through life and you don't steal. Me, I don't have that rule. If I'm hungry, like when I was 13, I found an old receipt in the parking lot. Everything that on that receipt, I walked into, back then it was like Kroger's and Albertsons. I got me a basket. I looked at the receipt. I made sure that it had to say it fell out of somebody's bag on the way to their vehicle. I would go in front of the grocery stores. I would dig to the trash can and find a receipt. I would go into the store with the bags that I've been accumulating because I had at my quote-unquote backpack that was at the lady's house that I stayed at 2 or 3 days out of the week. The other 2 days of the week I was staying at whatever girlfriend's house. I was sneaking through the window when their parents go to bed at night because everybody knew I was homeless. So since 13, I always had a girlfriend. And usually the girlfriend's mama was slipping me money under the table because the dad knew that I was a deadbeat. So obviously, none of the dads liked me, but all the mamas did, and all the mama's daughters did. So the mama's daughters was taking care of me. There's one lady I'll never forget her name, Janice Johnson. She used to always, I used to go by Kmart. She worked there. She was giving me a couple of dollars. Then I was sneaking to the window. She gets to know I was having sex with her daughter at 13. She probably wouldn't approve of that. So we made sure we kept that on the DL. What's the point, Doc? What is the point? The point is, I knew that I went to church. Since birth, thou shalt not steal. Fuck that rule. Because I didn't like that rule. Living by that rule, I was hungry. So y'all are living by rules that's making you hungry. Now, you got a choice tonight. You keep the rules. But that rule forces you to operate in that role. So your orientation, your whole worldview is based upon some rules that you're not aware of. So what I did is I examined my rules. This is what I did on January 1st, 2009 when I was sitting in that room by myself that I talk about all the time. So tonight, you should do what I did on January 1st, 2009. You should sit down. You should go through in your head everything that you have in your life. If it's not what you want, you should ask yourself, what rule establishes, make me live in this role that doesn't allow me to accomplish my fucking goal? You need to change your role, man. Not you personally, but you know. Now, I'm just talking about the world we live in. I don't know why they set it up this way, but they did. Whoever they are, we don't know who they are. They set up a world where, for some reason or another, Homeless people are not respected. There are some I've met, worked with some good homeless people. Fellas, shit. I was a case manager. I worked in the Supermax, man. I worked at all levels in the prison system. All level of corrections. I don't know why. You could be proven that there's a shit. Thousands of black men in prisons right now because some cop threw some drugs in their car and arrested them. They get out. Now they're felons. That Negro can't get no job. He can't vote. He can't carry a firearm. He's treated like a leper. And he could be proven innocent. Like, what about other people that's in jail for marijuana possession? Now marijuana is legal. Now the white man primarily is making money off of marijuana. You know, most of the marijuana growers, like, Tyson's one, but most of them are Caucasian. Not 30% of the time. But what's the point? The point is, there's a lot of people who still are being penalized. So, with capital, you have power. I don't know why, that's just the way the world is set up. Without capital, you are fucked. I don't know why that's the way the world is set up. That's the way it's set up. So, now you can fight the world, or you can play the game. Make your choice. Now, if you decide not to play the game, and you say, God, fuck capital, dog, I don't want to be involved in the system. Well, you got to be dependent upon the system now, because now you got no power. Now, this is why Andrew Tate got kicked off of Facebook. This is why all the young kids like Andrew Tate, because he tells men, hey, if you broke, you fucked. You should go play in traffic. And he talks like my boy Dan Pena, or like Kevin Samuels. And it's funny that the young kids like the dude, but yet he be talking about him. Because most young dudes, they don't like to work. I got the little nephew I got that used to borrow money on, this other day. I was saying, hey, now, you single? You what, 23? You should be working. Yeah. Well, actually, he told him this. See, he got up and left. He told him because he lives with a girlfriend. He got a job, but it's not a job. He like Ubering or something like that. So he asked me, and I gave him advice. This is the same young cat that I gave $500 to go to the marketing program. He went to the program and said, I don't. He said, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that. Okay, well, what are you going to do? So he asked me my opinion. I said, stop going to school. He said, well, I'm going to take another class. I said, fuck classes. You always learning. There's some people that are always learning, but they never come to the truth. So I was honest with him. He didn't like it too much, obviously, so he asked his auntie. She told him she was harder on him than I was. She said, how come you ain't got 3 jobs? He said, for what? You fucking single and you broke. How you having fun at partying and you fucking broke? And you lived off your girlfriend and you wonder why she don't respect you. She literally slapped him. He wears glasses. She slapped him so hard she broke his glasses, slapped his glasses off his face. It's kind of a running joke every time we see him and we see her with him. She's a big girl too. And I always tell him, I said the same thing. I said, hey, Black, you still keeping homie in check? He said, yep. And I was joking around with him, like, yeah, boy, you still getting your ass whooped. He had a bruise on the side of his face. Spousal, well, they're not married, but what's the point, Doc? What's the point? How come she don't respect him? Well, he lives with her. He got a car, she got a car. She got a job. He don't. So what does he do all day? I go to his Facebook page right now. You know what's on his Facebook page right now? He at the gym, no shirt. And then he always posts videos of him singing. Somebody told him because, he like all these young cats. They think they look good. So they flossing and they fucking broke. His own girl is bitch slapping him. And he wondering why his girl don't respect him. So you don't bring nothing to the fucking table. I don't respect you either, dog. So, hey, don't ask me for no more money. My wife told me, if you give him some more money, me and you gonna have a fight. I was always slipping this nigga money under the table for 2-3 years I've been paying his bills. He's the only one. I never told the wife that I was carrying most of her nephews, not so much the nieces. What's the point, Doc? What's the point? These niggas ain't got no fucking value. They're not an asset. And that's what the world is watching. I mean, most young black kids, I feel sorry for them. They have no purpose. They have no direction. And most of them was raised by their mama, so their mama's boys. So they coddle. They can't take teaching. They can't take instruction. You know, young kids, the only one that been able to hang is my boy, brother Anthony. Anthony, he's the only kid, like 23. I say kid, but you know, really not a kid, young adult that can hang with my teachers. Because doing the 101s, like what I'm doing right now, this is coddling. Doing 101s, shit, I'm gonna tell you the truth. No chaser. So I tell them the truth. What's the truth? How the fuck you partying and you broke? You ain't got no job. How you living with a girl? She got a car, you don't. And you at the gym. She pay your gym membership. And you wonder why she slapped the shit out of you when you act up. See, let me go show you understand the universe. Now, I didn't create it. We're here. The universe does not respect people who do not add value and benefits. So you have to establish a worldview. Now, let me be crystal clear on worldview before we move on to step 2. Because remember, worldview is a point. That's a point on the map. You said, I want to live here. You get to select your worldview. Oh, shit. Now, let me get this right. I get to select my own worldview. Well, yeah, kind of, sort of. You programmed to select a specific worldview. Now, you should ask me, Doc, what is your worldview? Since you guys get to the fucking planet. Well, you see, from a scientific perspective, the worldview is established by your third eye or the pineal gland. Now, the United States government created Project Looking Glass. This is going to be the next series, by the way. And I'm going to prove to you, based upon the scientific papers that's been recently released by the CIA. The pineal gland, that shit is located within your human brain. It contains these crystals. But it's part of the endocrine gland system. So the government reverse engineered your biology. They call it the seat of the soul. So the pineal gland is structured in a way that is associated with the AJNA, the ajna, which some call the sixth chakra, which some call yoga or yogi, which some call the awakening state, some call the enabled state. But what is it? It is a telepathic state. So quantum telepathy, the shit that we just talked about, neuroacoustic seed, thermal, brain domain. Because again, we're talking about your worldview. We're talking about your worldview. Your worldview is a fucking awakened state. It's the activation of the pineal gland. That's really your worldview. So your worldview is, now remember, this is God. He put you in a place where you can modulate by using certain chemicals like serotonin and melatonin that have effects on the body. And he hid it in the center of the brain. And it's a pine cone shaped organ. It's no bigger than like a raisin. But it is bioluminescent. Bio. It glows in the dark. It's like a tiny light bulb in the center of your brain. And it's made up of optic nerves and tissue. It is a lens. It has a cornea. It has a retina. It's exactly like your fucking eyeball. But it's surrounded by small crystals. These crystals, these little micro crystals inside of the pineal gland that we talk about magnetite, there's also another type of crystal inside there. It's called a calcite. Like calcium, that's why they put fluoride in there to calcify the calcite crystals. calcite crystals. They establish what they call piezo or piezoelectricity. It's an electrical field that's produced by the pineal gland. So your true worldview is to produce or establish an external electrical magnetic field called your aura based upon the pineal gland. And the pineal gland gets its instructions from your imagination. So your worldview should be established by all of the stuff that we talk about, especially when we talk about today. You should be able to think from, you should be able to think how, you should be able to think through, you should be able to think present, you should be able to think God, you should be able to think assume, you should be able to think inside or inner. That just simply means that your worldview is established by you. What does that mean? That means you bring about what you think about. So what does that mean? Well, what are you thinking? And then how did you structure your thought? Well, your thought is structured by what I call the Disney report. So my worldview is established by 336, 123, 123, 549. That is my worldview. Now, it didn't used to be. My worldview used to be just like most of you beautiful, God-fearing people on this call. It was established by the dominant culture, a.k.a. religion. So it's funny that all of the rappers work for the people that Kanye's fighting or talking about. So there is no record label that's not owned by a Jewish person. There's no TV channel. There is no music. There is no food. There's no water. Nothing on the planet is not owned and operated by, again, the 1%. So do you honestly think if they choose or sign off on the lyrics that you sing, they're going to put lyrics in there that allow you to be, I'm going to use the word, animated? Answer, no. So it's interesting that I guess Kanye just got tired of putting out trash and he developed a moral compass. He changed his worldview. Now, obviously, when he was broke, he had no problem with that worldview. They said Kanye rap about killing, bitches and hoes and everything else, like everybody else, every other rapper. Well, now he don't want to rap about that no more. Well, obviously, whoever they are, they got a problem with that because they signed a check. That's a rule. That rule establishes the role that Kanye and every rapper, every football player, every owner, there's no black owners. Zero. There's just a handful of black coaches. Do you think, why the fuck Charles Barkley ain't saying nothing? How come no NFL player has come out in support of Kanye West or Kyrie Irving? Why come no basketball? Why come golf, tennis? Where's Tiger Woods? Where's Al Sharpton? Only person said anything is Farrakhan. At least I got to give Farrakhan some respect. I don't really like him, but at least Farrakhan said something. Where's Bill Cosby? Well, I don't know if Bill Cosby is even. Where's Jesse Jackson? Where's our black leaders at in support of Kanye West? And nobody ain't saying shit because they all work for them. Them same dudes that signed Kanye's check and Kyrie's check signed their check. Al Sharpton ain't stupid. He ain't saying shit. You hear crickets. Why? Because they would have to change their worldview. That's a rule. The rule is you are a goyim. You're not God's elect. That's the rule. Because that's what they believe. They believe that they are God. They God's people, not you, boo. You are a G-O-Y-I-M. Especially if you're black. That's their belief, though. But what's the belief? A fucking worldview. It's their point of view. That's their point of view, and they control the world. So we got a conundrum tonight, especially if you're black. Because we're saying they're not going to respect you. They're not going to respect you unless you can come to their table with assets, with value, with some tangible, relevant product that they can deposit, that produce funds, so they can have fun. They can go buy yachts. That's why Prince and everybody else call themselves, when they get to the high level, they stop using a name. They start using a symbol or a logo, or they call themselves the artist. Damn near everybody who wakes up, when they get to the point where they have a level of mind understanding and they know words. So why do the word Negro, negative term? Black, negative term. Hebrew, negative term. Christian, negative term. Person, negative term. Individual, negative term. Any word that you use, I'm pissing on you and fucking calling it rain. So you need to fucking re-engineer your whole vocabulary. Otherwise, you're fucked. I mean, not you personally, but you know. So your imagination is a problem, boo-boo. See, your brain doesn't work like not you personally, but imagination is the only true reality. Because the pineal gland, the pineal electricity. Now we're gonna break this in the next series. You're like this one. Hopefully, I'm not going too fast. I might wait till the first instead of jumping on the next series because I think maybe y'all need to digest because it's universal, unified field of physics. Y'all probably need to go back and re-listen to that one. After you re-listen to that one, you probably need to re-listen to the series that we did on hygiene. After you finish listening to that series, especially when we start talking about self-receptors or now over your cell. It used to be cell receptors. The human cell has changed now. There is no cell receptors. There are only self-receptors on the surface of your cell now. Your DNA has changed. Your DNA is growing other helixes. You used to have a double helix. Some of y'all got 3, 4, 5, 6. Some people, the new babies are born with 12 DNA strands, not 2. Indigo kids. The earth, God, Gaia is changing. You're not you anymore. But they won't tell you that you literally now can select. For example, with your brain, you can select you can select whether you have a boy or a girl. You can literally engineer your babies, your life. This is called thought transmission. This is what I do. By establishing a level of certainty. You say, fuck the world. I'm certain. I'm talking about your worldview. How do you establish a worldview? Number one, your point of view. What's your point of view? Your point is like, you point, and wherever you point at, that's what you view. So I'm pointing at wealth. That's why I point. I'm pointing to wealth that establishes I go. My energy flows where my attention goes. My attention is on that point. So you don't have one. Not you personally, but they don't have points. Why? They are easily distracted. How? Well, shit. There's clever marketing campaigns out here, guys. Most people don't have a specific subject. Therefore, they can establish a specific result because they don't have a specific process. There is no specific end result. There is no defined timeline. If I was to unmute your mic and ask you, what is your specific end result? Remember, as we talked about today, you got to think from. You can't think of money. You can't think about money. You got to think from a position that's already got money. So your brain, you should tell me, Doc, I'm sitting in my $1 million house just like you. I'm going to go out there and check the chlorine in the pool. Or maybe you got a freshwater pool. You got to go out there and check to make sure there are no fucking alligators that can climb into your pool because you got a freshwater pool. So you got a freshwater pool. Every critter in the neighborhood is coming to your backyard because they can smell that water. So that's the limit that I'm having right now. I'm debating, should I get a freshwater pool? And I'm talking to the guy and say, yeah, that's great. You can do about chlorine, blah, blah, blah. But every snake, every raccoon, every squirrel, every owl, at night, they're going to be in your backyard. And so if you cool with getting that, hey, we can put in a freshwater pool in your backyard. That's why no problem. So that is the shit you should be talking about. Because I'm thinking through that. I ain't going to throw a pool in my backyard. I'm thinking. I'm asking fucking questions before. I ain't going to wait till after I get the pool and put the shit in there and go, oh, what the fuck we going to do now? Then I found out that if I put the pool, because of where the yard is at, the pool could fuck up the foundation. And depending on where the pool is placed at, it cancels the warranty on the house. Because it could compromise the foundation or the structure of the property. Depending on the size and how deep you dig the pool, because it's so close, it fucks up the soil around the house. So I'm thinking, I didn't say, hey, so a pool in the backyard. So your worldview, you just can't say I'm a Christian. And just walk around and say, my mama was a Christian, my daddy was a Christian. Everybody, I'm a fucking Christian too. You know what I'm going to ask you? What is that? Where does the term come from? You know, you're going to tell me? You don't know. How do I know you don't know? Because I know you don't know. Because if you knew, there's no way you would fucking call yourself a dwarf idiot. I know you're smarter than that. I know. I ain't gonna even fucking ask. I know you would never call yourself a fucking midget that don't got a brain. So I'm not going to ask the question. I'm just going to assume that your worldview is based upon somebody else. It's not yours. That's why that's probably why you broke. You got a worldview, which is rules, that establishes your role. And the role, that determines your goal. Your goals are determined by you. Can make goals all you day. Nobody gives a fuck. The universe don't care about your goals because they ain't fucking yours. Somebody else's. So your DNA only responds to you. Since you're not you, you're doing your cells are taking the day off. Your brain, it doesn't listen to you. Because you're not you. You trying to act like T.D. Jakes. You're not T.D. Jakes. Your brain doesn't, that's what disease is. Disease means that you're fake and you're phony. So your cells say, fuck you. Because you ain't you. We're waiting for you to show up. Grow some balls, let your ovaries drop and come home. And establish a fucking view that says, Negro, I will end your life if you fucking disrespect me. That's a worldview. Until then, shit, you might as well go play a track. I mean, not you personally, but, because you know. So what are you saying, Doc? Well, I'm saying that everybody that's calling tonight, you gotta grow some balls. Or ovaries. Or shit, for some of y'all, well, I'm not gonna say that. I love y'all. Y'all high vibration like chicken. What does that mean, Doc? That means that you got a critical, that's what they call it, critical race theory. This shit's crazy. What they are doing is making sure that you use their words to create their world. And all the time, you are creating their world. So, capital is intellectual property that can be turned into a financial asset. Somebody write that down. Let me make sure you understand the game. You are somebody else's bitch. Now, you don't have to be. Because remember, the world we live in is controlled by them. We don't know who them or they are. Right, Sister Cheryl? We don't know who they are. But they, how do I know? Well, did anybody create the words that you use? Is there anybody on this call, like they said that Beyonce put the word bootylicious in the dictionary? Supposedly, that's what I heard. Was that true or not? I don't know. If that's true, I got it. Now remember, most of the terms, like pletonomics, they are created. Most of my courses are words that I created. They don't fucking exist. Like the word dickhead. Now, I didn't create that one, but I'm the latest guy to use that one. It was a term that has not been used in a product, service, or information. Now, your job is to do that. God is Cheryl of the West. She created a term called mental net. So that means that Sister Cheryl can be punked by the dominant culture if she establishes or if she pushes and presents mentalness to the world. Bam, she will monetize it. Let me say it again. Now, I created what's called kleronomics, based off of the Greek word kleros and the English word economics. So kleronomos and kleronama, those are words. But kleronomics, that's not a word. Now you can Google right now kleronomics, Kleronomics. You know what comes up? Mathematician 33. That's it. Everybody in the world can Google kleronomics and a short black man from Texas, only thing that comes up. Around the fucking world. You should do the same. Establish your own lane. That's a worldview. My whole system is based upon behavioral plutonics. That's what we talked about. Why? It's called cognitive reorientation. Now, only if you are a licensed therapist would you and understand that you must, because again, that's part of cognitive orientation to get out of cognitive dissonance. Because that creates a thought process that organizes the piezoelectricity inside the pineal gland that literally creates subatomic properties that create your environment. This is called the rule of the role of orientation in cognitive psychology and molecular biology. Now, when I studied molecular biology at the University of Utah, and I saw inside of the human cell in real time, it fucked up my theology. That's when I knew that religion was whack. Because I saw how the cell works. And I understand that that's why we got preachers. That's why we got past stars. We got no present stars. You got a past, PAS. You got a pastor, but he's a past. He's gone. His time came and went already. So they're not a threat to the dominant culture. So the JEWs, they don't give a fuck about your past star or your mini, your little star. They don't give a fuck about him either. Or your Eldar, they don't give a fuck about him either. Those are all terms. So those terms are ruled by the JEWs. Now, your job is to operate outside by establishing your own worldview. Well, that's great, Doc. How do we do that? Well, we do the same thing that me and Sister Cheryl West did. What do? Well, we got in line with our own design. So I did one-on-one with Sister Cheryl. We went through her life path numbers, and she ordered the deal report. She ordered the life optimization report. Sister Cheryl invested in the program, and guess what she got out of the program? But self-image. So Sister Cheryl has an image of her cells. Now when she speaks, every cell in her body responds and listens to her because she's a goddess over every organ. Spleen, kidneys, lungs, they all listen to her now because she's in tune with, or she's at tune, or she's atonement. So in the Bible, it talks about atonement, but it's really a tune. ATTUNEMENT. You should try. So when you get in tune with yourselves, when you get in tune with yourself, now that's a worldview. So now your self-receptors inside of your cell, on the surface of your cell, there's no more cellular membrane. There's self-receptors which are mirror. They operate exactly like the mirror neurons in the brain. They mirror back your thought to you. And that brings about self-hypnosis and self-expansion. So everybody's level of certainty establishes a level of assumption, which leads us to a level of conviction that we talked about already. That's how you change the world. That's the worldview. So, one more time, how do we do this, Doc? Well, you got to hypnotize yourself. How do I hypnotize myself, Doc? Well, that means you got to get to know yourself. What does that mean? Well, I know it has already happened. What has happened? I'm a solar event. Now, they say that the light from the sun takes, I forgot how many years before it reaches the earth. So when it reaches the earth, it's past tense. That's you. You're a solar event that happened, some people say 15 billion years ago. It took 15 billion years ago for the nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, what else? All of them space dust to arrive and to condense into you. That's how old you are. Everybody on this call, you are 15, because remember, creation is a reorganization of nitrogen, oxygen, carbon into what you and I call flesh and bone. So that's what you made up of. So your job is to do what? Reorganize it. That's a worldview. Now, Your worldview is given to you through your name and your date of birth. Because each letter, as we already know, each letter, each number creates what you and I call function. So the structure of the letters in your name establishes the function of your brain. I'll say it again. The structure of the letters, the structure of the numbers in your date of birth creates function. Let me say it again. I don't know if you got it. Now remember, this is called, again, the Kalarian. Remember that? A lot of that stuff that when I first started, I did a lot of study, which is called K-A-B, how do you say it? K-A-B-A-L-A-R-I-A-N. So there is a secret society. It's not secret anymore. And they, for lack of a better term, who some of them were Kabbalists, who studied the Kabbalah. They believe that the mind and thought have their, I'm using the word origin, in a plane of consciousness and intelligence that we call God. They believe that God said, I'm going to put myself in a symbol, and I'm going to make 22 symbols to control or to, in fact, God wrote 22 syntheses. We call it protein synthesis. That's called Hebrew. So I wrote a book called The Magic of Hebrew Language. So the symbols, the letter A, it's a symbol. Look at it. It's a line going up, this line going down. It's really a pyramid, but the bottom of the pyramid is moved up. That's the capstone. The letter A, that's what the letter A is, the most powerful letter on the fucking planet. If your name starts with the letter A, you are the most powerful frequency on the planet. That's why you probably get into a lot of shit. Because you don't know your own power. You are a fucking Lamborghini. It's a Lamborghini engine, but you got a Volkswagen body. So you burning the shit up. Because the engine is high power. That's the brain, that's your blood. But your brain, your consciousness is itty bitty. So you got this big ass genie, itty bitty lives in space. So that's why you stress the fuck out. I mean, not you, but you know. If your name starts with the letter A, you're one of the most dangerous people on the planet. Why? Because inside of your brain is a fucking Gene Grace, fucking, damn, I forgot the dude, Professor X guy. So for men, Professor, what's his name? Xavier, right? Yeah, the guy in the wheelchair from the X-Men. The X is just a cross on his side. The cross is just a fucking cube. The cube, what we're going to break it down in the next series. We're going to break down the yellow cube. Fuck Saturn and the black cube. We're going to go and we're going to break down what the government did. So the government, they took out the pineal gland and they created a technology called looking glass where they can fucking see past, present, and future. It's just going to fuck your head up a little bit. But you're going to be better because you don't see who you are. Especially if you got any A's in your name or if your name starts with the letter A. Now, what does it mean? Well, let's go back to Kabbalah. So in the Kabbalah, the brain is not the source of the mind. What? Say it again, Doc. In the Kabbalah, I have the same view. So I know that my brain is a tool. My brain is an instrument, period. Dr. Mother Mike exits the stage. So the brain is not the source of the mind. The brain is just the physical instrument that is used by the mind. Get the fuck out of town. Now let me make sure y'all understand. Because you think you are limited by space and time and your body. Especially if your name starts with the letter A. Because remember, the most powerful shape, I'm using the word, shape is a triangle. You got 12 of those on your circle. Each one of them is 180 degrees. We don't even want to break down the math of you. We'd be here all night. It probably would greatly disturb you. Because your date of birth is your date of birth B-I-R-T-H is really B-E-R-T-H. But B-E-R-T-H is really B-U-R-S-T. That's you. You are an exploding celestial solar event. When a star explodes, it releases what we call space dust. Bam, that's you. So you are solidified stardust, space dust. God, if you want to use that term. But God needed an instrument. God needed a car. So God created brain matter. But God is mentalism. God is eternal mind. So whenever a name is attached to eternal mind, it reduces or it calls for specific forces. If we would use that term, remember the God of forces we talked about in last series? Forces that create a combination that is represented by an alphabet or a numerical formulation. Formula is for formula. So your moolah, capital, is determined by your name. You are a numerical formula. How do I know? Well, if you take my date of birth, September the 15th of whatever year, and you act as I'm in my prime. I'm just going to chicken. I'm forever. Damn, what age I want to be? What do you think, Dr. Horton? I think I would be forever. Damn, what's a good age? Let's say 29. So when I'm 100, I'm going to be 29. So I'm going to always be 29. I'm going to get enough. What y'all think? You get to pick one too. Okay, enough for enough time. So that's my conscious force. Now, that formula, when I do the math, it comes out to the number 33. So my formula that controls the forces, God dumbs himself down into the formula 336 123 123 549. That's the formula. So that formula is for moolah. Formula for moolah. For moolah. So I got unlimited moolah. So that formula gives me intelligence. That constitutes what is called nuclear. We call it a nucleus. So inside of my cell, that formula is in there. Inside of the neurons in the brain, every conscious, which is dumbed down into chemical elements, combined with a chemical compound that is represented by a chemical formula. So all of the mental characteristics that make me me is a numerical formula or formula that is represented by my name and date of birth, just like you. So my name and date of birth releases certain chemical compounds that create a chemical formula. That's the power of the name and the date of birth. Language, numbers, calendars, these are all what I would call step down. This is how God reduces his power down so that way it doesn't destroy us. These forces, this power that create what you and I call consciousness is dumbed down so it operates through what we call language. It operates through what we call numbers. So your name and your date of birth, that determines the quality, that determines the pattern, that determines the way, that determines how you establish your worth and your value so that way your worldview establishes you as an asset. You got working value, you're an asset, you're working valuable, you got tangible relevance, you are a producer, you're not a consumer, you are able to make deposits into your spiritual bank account so that way you can have fun by establishing funding or funds so that way you can be comfortable, you can explain, and you have no shame. That's why God designed the universe. So everybody has this mental and physical strengths and what some would call weaknesses. But and that's weaknesses. This is your most pressing problem that allows you to do what? Establish what we call products. So everybody on this call, your worldview is established for you. But you get a choice. You get to operate in that worldview, or you can say, "God, I don't want to operate in that worldview." So most people will have a difficulty combining all their numbers. So that's why I broke it down and simplified it into just 3 numbers. Because everybody can break down the month that you was born, right? Everybody can. So let's say, for example, Sister Nika was born on April the 4th. That's a 4. So I know that Sister Nika requires stability. So what's the opposite of stability? Instability. So what is Sister Nika's most pressing problem? Instability. So it's not rocket science. So she's born on the night. So what is Sister Nika's power? Her power is sophistication. So, but what is her weakness? Her weakness is not being sophisticated. The opposite. Then the year that was born, you break that down, it comes out to the number 2. Well, that's the number of what we call intuitive or peace. So that's her superpower. Well, what's the opposite of peace? Confusion. So I already know what's her most pressing problem. Now I can go through everybody's chart on this call, and I can tell you what you already know. What demon is whooping your ass? Why? Because that's the rule. So you're operating in the dark side of your rule. Now the word rule is code for, somebody should write this down, room. Rules come from rooms. What are rooms? Your letters. Fucking runic magic. This is spiritual magic. You are a fucking magi. That's why Jesus was called Christus Majestus. He was not a Christian. Y'all got fucking robbed. You're supposed to be a Christian magician too. You're supposed to be. That's why the 3 magi came to visit him. 3 magicians. He was inducted into the mystery schools. That's why he went to Egypt. That's why he went to India. He has they got the fucking house that he grew up in. He was married, had kids. He was a regular dude, just like me and you. His name was Yosef ben Yosef. But y'all glorify him. I ain't mad at you, shit. Do you, boo? But at the end, you need to glorify yourself. You need to establish your view. It can't be Jesus. It got to be yours. Oh, you ain't got one. Okay, well, you ain't got the confidence. You broke as fuck. No matter what, you got a job, but as soon as they fire you, what happens? You broke. See, capital is what? Creativity. It's the ability to pull what y'all call money out of thin air. Why? I'm an asset, people. I'm not a liability. Everywhere I go, I add value. I'm a high vibrational, keep it on. Everybody want me on their team. Why? I bring value. I'm not a liability. So when I show up, people make money. So I don't take money, I add. You should be the same. Why? Everybody wants you on their team. So when you add value, your energy, when you show up, your aura, your image, people look at your image and say, fuck yeah, put her on my team. Put him on my team. Because you add value, you're an asset. You're not walking around fucking with, a hoodie on with gray sweat. Looking like you fucking, not ready for another time. No, boo-boo, that's not what we're doing. So now you got your worldview. Guess what you got to do now? You got to present it. Oh, shit. So you mean to tell me this is the hardest thing that everybody has to do? Because this is the one thing that nobody's doing. And that is, you are showing up, but you're not showing up consistently with your worldview. You sharing other people's worldview on your page or on your body when you wear Gucci and Coach and whatever. You say, I don't wear no fucking Gucci, dog. Okay, that's because you just haven't got to that level yet. But don't worry. Now, if you get to that level, thankfully, like I did, I got to that level, to this level, after I got my knowledge. So that's why you would never see me with no other mother name on my back. If I'm wearing, look at my apparel. Who made it? Me. You're going to see MT, look at my fucking hat, look at my shirt, watch the fucking videos. Ain't no other nigga's name on my back, bruh. So you should be promoting your worldview. What's your product? What's your service? What's your information? Now, if you're not at this level and you see other people doing it, that just simply means you can recognize they have rules, not rooms. So when you get to this level, you replace JEW's rules with your own rules. That's capital. Money will follow you, tackle you, and jump in your pocket and demand that you take it with you when you operate according to your own rules. Now, I need you to understand, understand. This is not a new believer show. Rules. These are letters that we call alphabet, but they have power. Now, we may not be able to understand rules. We may not be able to understand sigils and seals, but they do exist. And if you put these letters in a particular order, you're going to fuck some shit up. Because each rune, sigil, is an energy that contains a specific intent that manifests in this world. The ancient Magi, Christus Magistus, Jesus had power because he knew that these symbols sent powerful messages to the subconscious and the unconscious mind. It activates the pineal gland. It controls spirits, and it allows for you to manifest what you desire in your life. This is called, and again, the next series, when we get into deeper, leaving out all of the witchcraft and the paganism, we're going to just use biology. So that way, none of y'all goes to get your panties in the water. So, what brother, let's just start off the Bible. I think this is demonic, brother Will. We're going to leave all of the demonic shit out that y'all think is demonic, but it's not. You're going to take another time. And I'm going to break down so you can understand you. So you know that energy exists and you control it. But you don't know you control it, but so you give your power to the JWs. Because they understand how the spirit realm works in this universe to manifest what you desire in your life. Our subconscious and unconscious mind does not speak in words. So no matter how much you tell yourself, I am rich, your unconscious brain does not give a fuck. Do not part of my French. It don't speak words. So when you say that I am healthy and what you do mantras, what does it do? Nothing. So it's very important that you understand. If you do affirmations alone, don't shit happen. I've been saying shit for this whole year. My mantra, I make $1,000 a day. What happens when I say that? Nothing. But what happens when I add and infuse and create sigils, which is letters? So when I write down, I make $1,000 a day. I infuse energy because I have a point of view and a worldview. So when I push my point of view, I get money. Because my point of view is activated by sigils. So when you activate a sigil, you are blasting that intent out into the spirit world. And at the same time, you are stimulating and you're signaling your pineal gland to shift itself, to align itself, and to receive from the universe and the spirit realm what you wrote down in your sigil. This is called sigil magic, which is what? Writing. So when you fucking write, you are performing a rite. That's sigil magic. That makes you fucking right. Sigils create and they manifest a desired outcome. Now, they will not do the work for you. What that means? They will provide the view. They clear the view so you have an image. And then your brain that's connected to the source will say, get the fuck up off the sofa. You wrote down on a piece of paper that I make $1,000 a day. I'm going to clear and create a corresponding earth, air, wind, fire, water, so that way it will give you direct access to everything that you need to manifest it. But you got to get up off the sofa. Then, what if you could add fuel to your fire? What if you could add fuel to your fire? What if you could add a target, a specific bullseye to your fuel? That's what it's called, sex magic. So religion was designed to replace the most powerful thing. According to science, portals open whenever you have an orgasm. According to science, if a man and a woman engage in sex, physical sex, we're not talking about spiritual shit. We're not even break down heteroscammers, which I've done many shows on that before, which is holy matrimony. We're just talking about dumbed down marriage. We're talking about basic shit, earth. If we were to fucking talk about holy matrimony instead of marriage, shit, if, like the Bible says, where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, I am there in the midst of them. 1, standing alone is easily defeated. 2, standing back to back and conquer. But 3, a 3-stranded cord is not easily broken. We know that's spiritual. But the science of love states men are peckers of particles. Women are portals for the particle to gain power. If a man and a woman who both love each other come together in agreement, write something down on paper, engage in a sexual act, produces so much power that it opens a portal for direct influence of manifestation for their energy. And if done correctly, this is what sex, I know it. I'm not telling anybody should do that. I'm telling you why whoever they are, why they practice sex magic. So that way, if you are in a marriage or relationship, you and your wife should get together and have common goals. Me and my wife, we don't agree upon much, but what we did agree upon was this house. That's one of the reasons why I was able to manifest it. What if we agreed upon everything? I probably wouldn't be doing this show from this house. I would probably be doing my show from one of my 10 beach houses. I'd probably be up there with the white folks doing Martha's Vineyard, hanging out with the Kennedys and the Rockefellers, the Schwarzeneggers. I'd be the only nigga up there. They have to let me in. Why? The white man, he don't recognize no color but green. Capital opens doors. I don't give a fuck what nobody said. I'm here now. I understand it. I'm living in this house because of one reason. Capital. Now, you may not like capital, because you may not, now when you get to this level, you understand capital is nothing but a mindset that sees itself as an asset that has worth and value to put it into a tangible product, service, or information that is relevant and has the ability to produce instead of consume. Most black people are consumers. Who is number one consumers on the planet? So the JEWs, they know you don't have self-control. The JEWs can jangle something in front of you and you're going to knock you first, but you're going to jump on it. So that used to work on me. It doesn't work no more. So the JEWs try to say, hey, consume this instead of producing. I said, no, thank you very much. I want to make some deposits of funds so I can have fun. So that's why I was able to get out. So I traded in their rules, and now I use my rules. When you get rid of their rules and you use your own personal God-given rules, then you become, and you start using runic magic. Now, your reverend, your doctor, your bishop will go say you're going to go to hell. Well, you should fucking tell them you're already there. That's why you get runic magic to get the fuck out. Once you use your rules, you establish your road. That road that you are on, that allows you to get out of Rome. Because all roads lead through Rome, the Vatican. That's the JEWs. The JEWs know that you are using their rules. You're living their role that they got for you. Let's call it a job, by the way. Or, whatever you're doing. I don't care what you're doing. If you're on this planet, you work for you work for Vatican. That's not for another time. So that means you're there VIPCH. I used to work for them too. We all do. How do you get out? Well, use your own rules. Now you create a whole new road called, like the God of the West, mental net. Well, they didn't create that. Source code dropped a thought and an IDEA, not an IDEAL. Watch out for IDEALs. Because you have a identification, an ID, that comes from ER. That's where we get Yah. But Lucifer always jumps in there too. So you got a WORD. But then Lucifer jumps in there. Now you got a WORLD. Now you got a God. Then Lucifer jumps in there. Now you got a GOLD. So y'all need to get rid of Lucifer. Lucifer is like Lucy. It makes you loose. It means a slack grip on reality. That's poverty. Poverty is you got reality, but you got slack. The Bible calls it slack, slothful, sluggard. I wrote that inside of my first book, The Ultimate Secret of Being Rich. The ultimate secret of being rich is you got to get on. You got to use your room. Then your pineal gland will expose your road. Your road will stop you from going to Rome, which is Rome, R-O-M-E, physically, or R-O-A-M, metaphysically. When you get on your road, then you stop the wrong. When you stop roaming around, now you establish your specific individual point of view. That's your worldview. Your worldview is really your celestial. Your celestial cue comes from your worldview, which is your point of view. So now I got a specific point of view because I use my rules. So my point of view is what? I'm a very creative creator that loves to communicate because I'm a 336. And I use my creative creator communicator status to individually, psychically, creatively, 1, 2, 3, express, because it's my soul urge, myself as a leader who uses my inward creative, that's the 1, 2, 3 again, to establish my payoff, which is freedom, stability, and sophistication, or royalty. 549. Every day, I do 336, 123, 123, 549. Why? Those are my rules that put me on the road that leads me to my goal, which is my worldview. So I get paid for that. So the universe, the money doesn't come from the JEWs. The money doesn't come from the resurrected vision. The money comes from source. Because source is going to send people to you that needs, for lack of a better term, which simply means what? Their dark side needs your light. So God will send you to the person, the places, and the things that are willing to give you what we call currency in exchange for your worldview. But your worldview must be staunch. That means you must be comfortable and explain shit without no shame. That means that you should show up on Facebook. You should express your worldview, what you believe, with a disposition that says, like I got 100 grand, you can prove me wrong. So you don't go out there until you establish your own worldview. Mine, Pedonomics. That's the base core of what I do. Pedonomics is the household management of the fucking soul. It means one who receives by lot, by air, for my messianic uses. One who receives his allotted portion by right of sonship. No mother gave me what I got. It comes from fucking God. So since you didn't give it to me, you can't fucking take it. Not you personally, but pick it up. See, when you get to this level, there is no fucking devil. Because my shit comes from God, bro. It don't come from no man. I got no damn degree. I ain't joining no fucking cult. My knees ain't bow down to no me. So I manage my own soul. Economics means the household management. It comes from the Greek word oikonomai, which means manager of the dwelling. That's me, bro. I run this house. Me, myself, and I, all three of us. So when you run up in here, we got something for you, dog. So no demon's gonna come into my head and run the fuck around and tell me, hey, doctor, you should do this. Get the fuck out, bro. I run this house. So no man can enter into the man's house unless he first binds the straw man. That ain't happening over here. I got an individual expression. I got a worldview. I got a point of view. So brothers and sisters, you will get paid when you establish your worldview. And every day you show up with your worldview. Now I ain't saying you got to be all rigid and hard and you can't have fun. Shit, I post pictures of my Corvette, me working out in the gym, but it always comes back to my worldview, which is what? I run this house, bro. I'm here to replace error with truth, which is what? Give the JEWs back their rules. You doing shit that they ain't got shit to do with you. You should come up with your own rules because God gave you letters and he gave you numbers. Those are used to establish your mental disposition. Then once you establish it, you don't really need to learn the numbers no more. Brothers and sisters, as always, it is an honor and a privilege to be able to break bread with you. We're going to take, now y'all tell me, man, if y'all need some time off and get your pennies together, y'all want to wait till after Thanksgiving for the next series? If so, we'll wait till like December the 1st, December the 2nd for the next series. But hey, if y'all got, if y'all pockets, if your pockets are fat, let me get my speech together. And y'all ready, your brain's ready to rock and roll, we're going to go on to the next series where we break down the yellow tube, or what is called Project Looking Glass, which is, I'm going to break down the quasi-crystals inside of the pineal gland. Because we're going to use biology to overstand so we can get out of spookyism. Because, y'all been listening to T.D. Jakes and he got y'all scared up. And y'all think the shit that I'm talking about, not because it's bad or good, it's just because there's no clarity. Remember, black folks, we scared the fuck of the dark. If we don't know shit, I ain't doing that, brother. How come? Well, we don't have clarity. So we got to break down the magic square. We got to break down the grid pattern that is made up of equal numbers of squares. They call it standing on your cube or standing on the square. Certain cultures, so they demonized it. And so now certain secret societies use it. So we got to break down what is in some circles called the witch's will. But we got to break it down so that way you understand which means which. Like WHICH. It's like weather means weather. WHETHER. So we got punked. Because this is word magic. So we got to understand word sigils that are used to write out your intent. So that way, when you speak, you have the power of abracadabra. That, my brothers and sisters, you literally can look into the future because you are the future. That means you know the future because you fucking created it with your speech. So I can tell you exactly what's going to happen next week. I can tell you what's going to happen tomorrow because I'm creating it today. We're going to give you that power too. We'll break that down in the next series. I love you. There ain't nothing you can do about it. We'll see you guys later. God bless.